Hi everyone, myself Vidhya Vijayan, Assistant Professor, Department of Software Development. Today we are going to discussing about the topic called uses. This from database. There are different kinds of uses using this database. So today we will discuss about some kinds of or some categories or types of users accessing or using database. Okay. These are the contents we are discussing today. First, we will study about or we will discuss about what is database management system, and some kinds of or categories of uses using these kinds of use of database. And there are actually we can divide these uses into two categories or two types. First one is actors on the scene. As you can see, actors on the scene. Second one is workers behind the scene. There are two categories of users who use the database. Okay, after that we will discuss about some responsibilities of each and every users. Okay, what is database? Actually, database is a collection of related data, and the management, the creation, the modification, anything, the updation, anything can be a user asking to the database, or the user want to create or delete or update any kinds of data. These kinds of things are known as, these are related to database. We can see database is a collection of related data. Okay, it is actually used to retrieve, delete, update, manipulation. Any manipulation can be done in a database by the users. Okay, for example, if I am taking this college as example, the college have database. So database means the details about the staff, students, different kinds of data will be stored in the college database. Today, I am going to discussing, or I am going to teach some users who use the database. There are actually two types of, we can divide these users into two types, two categories. First one is actors on the scene. First one is actors on the scene. Second one is workers behind the scene. Actors on the scene means the peoples whose job involves day to day in the database system. These kinds of peoples will use the database in day by day. Okay, there are some examples or some categories for actors on the scene. You can see first one is database administrators. Database administrator is an example for actors on the scene. Second one is database designers. Third one is end users, and fourth one is system analyst and application programmers. They are also known as software engineers. Second category is workers behind the scene. Workers behind the scene means the peoples whose works is to maintain the database environment. The maintenance means the designing, the development, etc. will be included in these kinds of maintenance of database environment. There are three types of workers behind the scene. Three types of users in the workers behind scene. First one is system designers and implementers, tool developers, and last one is operators and maintenance personnel. We can discuss each and every uses. First one is database administrator. As you can see, in any organization, there will be a manager, and there will be different kinds of resources like systems, staffs. There are different kinds of resources available in an organization. So these kinds of things are managed by a database management system, and the if I am taking the environment, database environment, the primary resource will be the database. Okay, the primary or the first resource will be the database, and the second resource will be that software. Okay, the software which is used to manage and different kinds of things. Okay, that kinds of things done by the software. So second resource or secondary resource will be the database and database management system and the related softwares. Some responsibilities of database administrators are given below. You can see administrating, that is primary secondary resources. The first the main responsibility of database administrator is administrating. As the name indicates, that means administrating or managing the first resources, or that manager and if I am taking the examples of organization, the manager, the managing the manager, and also the secondary resources like staffs, resources, systems, anything. Okay, these kinds of management is done by the database administrator. Second one is security. That means providing security. For providing security, we need to we need to give authorized access to some kind of uses or some kind of accessing things. So if some hackers or any unwanted access comes to a database, we need to protect our database. Okay, we need to secure our database. So what will happen, this database administrator will protect or secure the database from the different kinds of unauthorized access. Third one is coordinating and monitoring use of database. That means the coordinating and monitoring means the database administrator will coordinate each and every operations in the database, and also it monitor the things like any backup or any failures happens, then the database should be recover or backup the data from the database. So the coordination and monitoring of database is also is a responsibility of database administrator. Fourth one is obtaining hardware and software resources as needed. I already said that these things are hardware and software things are managed by the database administrator. So these kinds of hardware and operating resources are also handled by the database administrator. Last one is troubleshooting. Troubleshooting means suppose my system have some problems like any failures happen. Troubleshooting will find that the problems and also maybe use some kinds of solution processes to solve the problem. For that, there are some staffs are there to help the database administrator. These are the responsibilities of database administrator. Second one is database designers. Okay, database designers responsibilities are what kinds of data should be to be stored in the database will be find by the identified by the database designers. Okay, and also what kinds of structure, what kind of format this data needed to store the, or what kind in any way or in what way we need to store this data, in what format we need to store this data in the database. These kinds of things are considered, or these kinds of things are handled by the database designers. And the main another thing is the database designers will communicate with the database users, and they will access, or they will collect the requirements from the database users, and he or she will be design the database. Okay, as the name indicates, database designers are used to designing the database. Design the structure of database, which includes table. There are I already said that there is a structure or there is a format. It will be look like tables, related data, indexes, views, constraints, triggers, stored procedures. In this way, in these ways we can store data in the database. Third one is end users. End users means the people whose job requires access to a database, like querying, SQL querying, some kind of queries like if I need to see some data from the database, if I need to update any data from the database, I need to query, or I need to use some kinds of languages that the database knows. So this querying, updating, generating reports are done by the end users. And also there are different kinds of end users, like casual users, naive or parametric end users, sophisticated end users, and standalone users. First one is casual end users. These kinds of end users will not regularly use, or will not occasionally, or not very frequently use the database. You can see require the, if these kinds of users need to access the database, they need a new information to access the database in the next time. Second one is naive or parametric end users. These kinds of these kinds of end users constantly querying or updating the database. Each and every time they will update the database, like canned transactions. Canned transactions means when we type on the Google, or when we Google, we get some recommendation, or we get some related topics from the from as a list. So don't have any database knowledge, but then this name or parametric end users have no basic knowledge about the database, but frequently use the database applications in their daily life to get the desired result. Okay, they don't know the basic of the database, but they access or they use these kinds of database application in daily life. For example, the example is given here, the railway tickets. We all use these database, railway tickets, and railway booking, ticket booking. Okay, it's also that users is a naive user. It's an example for naive users. And third one is sophisticated end users. Sophisticated end users means the engineers, scientists, business analysts. These are the examples for the examples for sophisticated end users. They can develop their own database application according to their experiments, by requirements. They need some requirements, so they will create their own database by using the queries and all. Okay, no need to write the program code, but they interact the database by writing SQL queries. As I already said, that if I need to create, update any modification I need to done, I need to perform in the database. I need to study the query, the structure, the programming language. Okay, last one is standalone uses. These kind of uses can create a personal database. They can create a personal database, and they can also maintain these kinds of database, but because they know the basics and they know the basic structure of their database. So they will use the ready-made program packages to create their own database. Okay, the fourth one is system analyst and application programmers or software engineers. They know the basics of programming language, so they can create their own programs or their own database by using the SQL language and SQL queries. Okay, system analyst determines the requirement from the end users, and end users. The requirements from the end users will be collected by the system analyst and develop a specification for the candidate transaction. Second one is application programmers or software programmers. They know the basics of programming language, so they will test, debug, document, and maintain these kinds of transactions or these kinds of data transitions. Software engineers, I already said that's computer professionals, so they know the programming language, so they will they will collect the data from the end users and they will create the database. Second category is workers behind the scene. Workers behind the scene, we can divide these workers behind the scene into three types: system designers and implementers, tool developers, operators, and maintenance personnel. System designers and implementers, as the name indicates, it will design the database and implement the database modules and the interfaces as one software package. Okay. Second one is tool developers, the person who design and implement the tools which is used to create the database or to manipulate the database. These are maintained by the tool developers. Last one is operators and maintenance personnel. They are responsible for the actual running of the database. Okay, these are the main two categories of database uses: actors on the scene, and second one is workers behind the scene. Okay. So we discussed about the database and the uses, the categories of uses, actors on the scene and workers behind the scene, and some responsibilities of the uses. That's all about today. Thank you.